Views expressed by Camaplan podcast guests may not reflect those of Camaplan. Camaplan does not guarantee the accuracy of information provided by guests, nor does it endorse or recommend any individual or organization. Camaplan is not an investment advisor, CPA, realtor, or attorney. You are encouraged to conduct your own due diligence before making investment choices. For any tax, legal, accounting, investment, or other questions, please consult a specialist. Welcome back to the Road to Financial Freedom, where experts share stories and secrets to unlocking financial independence. This podcast is brought to you by Camaplan, a self-directed IRA administrator focused on educating investors on how to grow retirement savings faster through alternative investments. I'm Ricky Trong, Camaplan team member and podcast host. In each episode, we're going to take an in-depth look at the many roads taken to financial freedom and how they differ for each of our guests. Today's guest started as a small-town Canadian boy, found himself on the same path as most young prairie guys, right to the oil patch, off and on for the vast majority of 2 decades with the changing economy, looking to switch to a full-time crypto career in the past 2 years. Being a 6-year vegan animal activist and passion for volunteering, he leads investors and public relations to the charity division of Taco Cat, where he is now actively working in the community of Santa Ana, developing young entrepreneurs through the state-of-the-art computer lab that was created by his vision. He has a very ambitious goal of changing lives through education and blockchain technology, teaching kids real-world skills to help assist them in the highest chance of success, to navigate life and be true leaders and make the world a better place. Now, to introduce our new guest today about his journey, I'm excited to hear. This is Randy Kujawa. How are you today?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, Randy. Thank you so much for being here. I've been really excited to get to talk to you. I know you have a lot of cool things going on and you're really passionate about what you do. So why don't we just kick this off right here? Tell us a little bit about yourself besides, what we already read, and tell us where you're at today and what you're looking to do.
Well, yeah, currently I'm living in Panama, and like I said, it was from Canada, but I guess the major thing that really got me to where I was is I did spend the vast majority of 2 decades working in oil and gas, and that's what I always thought, right? And I always thought oil and gas was going to be this great career, and it was always going to be there. And then as of a couple of years ago, when the whole pandemic thing came around, it made me really look at life and go just like, is this something that's going to be a sustainable career for me for the rest of my life? And then while we were in lockdown, I had time to do some research. And then I started to look into topics that I never really thought about before. I never really thought about looking into what is crypto, what is money, because I was always going out. I had a great career. I was working internationally. Everything was going well. There was no point of concern or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, when I started to do a little more research, it was alarming. I kind of opened the veil. I opened the curtain and I saw things that I can't unsee. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm like, and I'm 38 years old at that point, and I'm looking and I'm like, how am I just finding out about this? And the reality is we're just finding out about this is because nobody teaches us. Nobody talks about it. It's not really something that's just a forward conversation, right? We just don't talk about money. It's almost kind of taboo. Like, let's not talk about it. And I really think that when I got into the crypto space, I started out as an investor in some projects. And then the universe works in magical ways. The universe just lines you up with some fantastic people. And I met this guy named Allen. And Allen was a 20-year stock investor, a penny stock investor. He worked in mortgages. He just a fantastic guy. Him and I just clicked. We became friends and we started talking back and forth. And he was working on this project where he had these fun assets. As you can see, I'm going to look behind, had these fun assets he had made. And he has, his son was 5 at the time, and which is 6 now. But he was creating a trading course for his friends. And he was like, you know what, why don't I take these fun little assets and why don't I try to make this course fun and digestible for all ages? Because his son is saying, Dad, I want to be just like you. And he's like, you know what? So then he was working on this project and I kind of came in, and then we were looking at just with the scope of everything that's going on in the world, and the lack of financial literacy is alarming out there. It is absolutely alarming. So what turned into kind of a little fun side project for him is turning into our full focus. And that's kind of the story how this thing came along.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. So tell us the name of this course, or is there other entities to it, or is it just strictly a course?
It's called Toilet Paper Hands. And the reason why is because it was kind of based on Wall Street Bets. Wall Street Bets was going around. And so with Wall Street Bets, they had all the terms like YOLO and paper hands and diamond hands and all this stuff. So we kind of took a spin off of that. So instead of paper hands, it was toilet paper hands. And that's kind of how these assets ended up getting created.
That's great. I mean, I had looked through the website and I had looked at some of the animation and I thought it was so cool. Each of these characters really, I feel like they were brought to life from the pandemic because, toilet paper hands, there was no toilet paper around people.
Exactly. That was one of the things. He was like, it was totally part of the narrative. He was like,
yeah,
the whole toilet paper thing is like part of it. It was partly influenced by that too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, do you want to go through like paper hands versus diamond hands a little bit for our audience that doesn't really know about that?
I think what we should do is we should kind of rewind it and we should really talk about kind of the importance of this. And one of the main reasons why. So we're not trying to sell investments. We're not trying to get people to be pro technical analysis traders. We need to understand that. I'll tell a little story. My grandfather, I spent a lot of time with him when I was a young child. And he was a man of very, very few words. He rarely said anything, but when he did talk, it was very, very wise information. He said, Randy, it's not the amount of money that you make in life. It's the amount of money that you save in life. That's important. And that was great advice. But that was great advice in his era. Now, our era is different because money is really, if you look at money is a game. And the number one rule of the money game is that money is devaluing every single day. So if I don't know the rules of the money game, what I'll probably do is I'll save my money. I'll take that advice my grandfather gave me. But if I do know the rules of the game, what I'll need to understand is that A, I'm going to need to either spend my money today to get a better value for it, or B, I'm going to need to invest my money to make it have worth more for me in the future. So essentially what we need to do is we're just trying to teach people the rules of the money game. So we're not getting super in depth. We're starting off in just the basic fundamentals. What is due diligence? What is what is being smart? What is not making emotional decisions? What is research? What is a business? What is income? What is investments? What is budgeting? What is goal planning? What is just the simple things? And the reality is 1 in 2 Americans don't have any investable assets. Does it mean they're unwise or unintelligent people? No. It just means they have a lack of education. And the reason why it's not their fault is because we don't teach people this. We absolutely don't. So we want to be able to try to bring learning so it's fun, it's digestible for all ages. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's easier to learn through somebody else's story over learning through your own mistakes. And why not learn through a cartoon?
Coming back to the fact that, the education on finance and money is very limited. It's so hard to come by. They don't teach it in schools. And I think we're like probably 15 episodes into the season at this point, and every person that I've spoken to so far is basically self-taught. And what they're doing is they're starting classes, coaching, all these things because they want to teach others from the mistakes. Now, from your point that you're doing is you're trying to help people avoid those mistakes by telling them, teaching more about the simplistic side of it. And really, I don't want to say dumbing it down, but putting it into layman's terms that it could be understood at all cognitive levels. So I think it's really great what you're doing with this.
Well, and it's really cool too, because we took a bit of a different approach. And people either just want to teach just stocks or people just want to teach just crypto. No one's really kind of doing the in-between. So what we understand is that the story is changing. So we initially need to start off. It doesn't matter if you're in crypto. It doesn't matter if you're in traditional stocks. It doesn't matter if you're just looking into a business, you need to start with doing your due diligence, do your research, make sure it's going to be a good decision, make sure you have enough money in your savings. Like, you need to have a budget and expenses. Can I afford to make this investment? Am I gambling my rent money on it? That's not smart. You need to be smart about everything. So we create all this, but then during one of the episodes, Flush goes to buy something and he doesn't have enough money, but he bought it for that same price a year before. So then what happens is that's where we start to talk about inflation. Now, how it works out, there is 16 episodes per season. Oh. So we start off, and what we're going to do, you cannot teach anything in a 12-minute episode. It is absolutely impossible. But what you can do is you can pique the interest, and then you can create a conversation topic. And that's where we have an integrated learning management system. So Tony Robbins uses it. University of Florida uses it. University of Michigan uses it. So what we do, and our goal is we want to try to get into the private school systems. We'd eventually one day like to get into the public school systems. We actually even have a partnership with Empretech. It's an entrepreneurial division of the United Nations, where we were just saying, hey, listen, we believe that education should be a right and not a privilege. So for all the developing nations that can't afford the education, we'll just donate this for free. You guys have it, learn it, take it. It's yours. Do what you can with this, right? We want to be able to make this accessible for all. But with the learning management system, so it doesn't matter if you're teaching somebody that's 12 or 17 or very advanced or not very advanced. So during the topic, so say there was a topic about inflation, then the teacher or the person creating content goes into the learning management system. They pull the content from there. So we get credible, high quality, relevant content that they have access to. Now, these people can build a curriculum around to teach whatever class or whatever person they want. So now we can start to get a pool of good to get the content, the right, proper content from the right sources. So we're working on some really, really big partnerships with some very, very big names in many different spaces. So we're going to be able to have access. So they're going to say, okay, cool. Well, this was fun. It got us talking about inflation. Now you can tailor a course around however your students are going to be able to react to that. So this is why everyone's getting away from books. No one's buying books. No one's buying textbooks. Everyone's going to e-learning. The e-learning, I think in the last few years, has gone up 900%, and it's going to be expected to be a $236 billion industry in the next few years. So wow. This is a major growing sector. 70% of kids are learning taking some of their school on a digital device. And like 40% of people are already using e-learning platforms as part of curriculums. So it's there. The world's getting away from textbooks. Textbooks, they're bulky. They're not convenient. We're not there anymore. We're evolving. We're going kind of through this, I like to call personally, and this is just a term, an educational reset. I think we should be talking to kids about important things like money. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure somebody's going to be the next physics whiz and stuff like that. But right now, we have a cell phone in our hand that we can access any information asking, what is this? So rather than going and putting in these years, logging in these times to memorize things when we have all that access, why don't we teach things like money, critical thinking, entrepreneurship? Just like there's so many more important conversations. And if we're going to talk about making the world a better place, we really need to start with the fundamental things, talk about the important things, and money. I believe money is such an important conversation. And maybe some parents don't want to talk to their kids about money because they don't know the story of money. They don't even know themselves. So why would I want to be able to try to teach my youth about something that I'm even unsure of? And me at 38 years old, I just figured this out. And I bet it's not an isolated case. I bet I'm not the only one that was like, what? This is what's going on? And when, like I said, when you see it, you can't really unsee it. So if we can take the learning journey through an animation series. We got Flush, this young guy just trying to make it in life. He's just he's going to a job he doesn't really like. He's trying to earn his money back one paper at a time, one square at a time. And he's making mistakes. He's FOMOing into things. He's not doing the research. But every time he makes a mistake, that's where he gets to learn. And that's where we get to learn from him. And, if you can do it, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're an experienced trader, everyone's going to want to watch this because it's going to be fun. You're going to be like, man, I could probably get into this. And they're only 12-minute episodes. They're nice. They're short. They're not teaching, but they're bringing up the conversation. And then from there, then you start to get down into the content through the learning management system. We're going to gamify all the courses. So the people are going to go through. It's going to be fun. It's going to be animated. It's going to be interactive. Yeah. So that's kind of how we're going to derive how are you going to teach? What is your method of teaching? Because we just play a cartoon. It's cool, but it is edutainment. It's education and it's entertainment. So it's actually a new thing out there. It's kind of interesting. It's fun. It's exciting.
It reminds me of the learning cartoon that we had years ago. I mean, I think it's from like the 70s, like School of Rock. It reminds me of that. Like, I'm just a bill. Like, you learned about the Constitution and things like that in a fun way. And I feel like investing can be the exact same thing because, like, for me, like, I was an English major in college, right? A sociology person. I studied people. Money was not like anything I ever learned about. And I mean, yeah, I had my experiences from my parents and making money, but I never understood investing. So luckily my husband is like an MBA in accounting and things like that. And he loves investing. So he was able to explain it to me at my level. And I feel like it's very similar to what you're doing. I do have a question though, because you did mention that you're going to get this into private schools, public schools. Is it going to be something that maybe a homeschool would have access to? Because I know a lot of people are switching to that now too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be accessible to everyone. So it's going to, so our very, very first episode, we kind of walk in, we kind of rush into this. Flush is at work and he goes into a situation, he gets shorted by Bear. Now, most of the people probably on this podcast will understand what shorting is, but let's be real. If we play this for the general public, they won't understand what shorting is. And we understand that. So what we did is there's going to be 6 free courses that are going to be completely leading up to get you up to space. That's going to teach you, and we're going to walk you through. So by the time we have the full animation series done and complete, so we like to be in Q1 next year. We want to have all 16 episodes done, completed. But all of these courses are going to be able to get people up to speed. So then when we're going and we're ready and we launch it, we're like, okay, now it all kind of starts to make sense, right? You're like, you know a little bit about stocks, you know about investing, you know about money, about budgeting, all this, right? And like I said, we're going to make this absolutely free to everyone. So this is literally for everyone. Now, when it gets into the very, very in-depth past the free courses, it's going to be a subscription-based service. So it's going to be a cheap annual subscription. You just have access. You log into your learning management system. Now, here's where it's going to be a little bit fun. So while we're pretty much just an education traditional business, right? We really feel the importance of getting into Web3, getting into crypto and the importance of it. So we're like, okay, cool. Well, now if I go and I take an online class, right? Or I take something like this and I achieve a certain level of education. Well, the nice thing about with crypto is we have NFTs. What is an NFT? It's an immutable record that you own something, right? So if I buy an NFT, it proves on the blockchain that I own it. Well, you can also do this for education certificates. So what we can do is we can say, okay, now through the learning management system, every time you earn a level of higher education for financial literacy, you're going to get an immutable record stamped into the blockchain that you own this. Now, what is the importance of that? So maybe it's not going to be applicable in the US, but what if I'm in some other country and I go and I work really, really hard within my school or my university and I achieve a certain level of education? What if my government changes? What if the new government doesn't recognize that is what they discover or they decide as education? So all that work I've done is gone. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to incorporate a higher level where we're going to say, it doesn't matter where you are. Here, you've achieved this. Here's a record of it. We stamp this onto the blockchain. You own this. Take it with you. Wherever you're at, you're going to have this. Nobody can take that from you, right? So this is where we want to get away from, because there is problems like that where some education is not recognized around places. So the nice thing about decentralization, the nice thing about crypto, the nice thing about blockchain is that we can start to get more of that ownership to us, right? It's taking the power back to the people. And that's really what it is we can start to empower people with their own knowledge of what their finances, empower people and what they earn, they own. No one can take that. Like, that's something special. I don't know anyone that's really focusing really, really hard right now to try to make this for everything. I just, it's hard not to be excited about a project like this because it's so needed. It's just, why are we not talking about this all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I really think it does fill the void of you saw an issue and you became the entrepreneur to fill in that gap. Because yeah, I mean, I completely agree. The education system doesn't touch on, I mean, I know specifically here in the US, it does not touch on anything unless you're specified in your field trying to learn, specifically investing. So it's not public knowledge, it's not general knowledge that they teach to students. And if you start it young, it's more digestible and it's easier to understand. And I feel like the way you're going about it, like you're going to make it interactive and fun. I mean, that is fantastic. I'll probably, I'm 33, but I can't wait to play and, really understand everything at, the basic level to work my own knowledge. So that's wonderful.
It really will be fun for everybody. And here's, maybe this is something I think for myself. I don't know. Because I was late to the party finding out about this information. I've always liked learning, but it's just, it was never really brought in front of me. But I bet we start getting this in front of the kids, and the parents are probably going to be as equally or more excited, because if the kid's coming home and they understand more financial topics about the mom or the dad, they're probably going to be like, I can't have this. I can't have my kid outsmarting me in this topic. So it's going to probably create a fun learning environment for the whole family where they can learn together, right? So as we were saying, so there's season one. We have season one. It's all written out. It's got a great storyline. We get into crypto. We get into blockchain. But now season two, here's going to be a great opportunity because, like The Simpsons has been around for 31 years. Imagine if The Simpsons was primary focus on education, and they had 31 years of developing, growing education. That's some pretty impactful thing, right? So if you bring something that is fun, people like, it's easy, it just fits for everybody. Now we can create the story. It's always going to be changing. So say it's set in this place called Tradesville. So Tradesville is a town, and every single building in Tradesville is a business. Every single person is somebody that might be running a business. Who are they? What is this building? There's a new building. As you know, towns and cities grow and expand. Well, Tradesville is going to grow and expand. So as Tradesville is growing and expanding, what is this new building? Well, maybe it's a new layer one technology that's coming into crypto. Well, it's going to change the world. So now it's going to be an opportunity for businesses, or maybe great content creators, or maybe very successful people that have a great story to be able to come into the episodes. So it's not going to be just a single frame of point from one. Now it's going to be an opportunity to showcase other changing technologies. And as the story's changing and as everything's molding and shifting so fast, we can continue to write the story to keep it up to date. And so if somebody has a great business or a great company or some great technology, yeah, come for sure. If it fits, let's write it in there. Let's talk about this. So it's going to be a great way for other companies to showcase. If we get on an Amazon Prime, a Netflix, a Hulu, Cartoon Network, and we start to get, maybe we just go viral on YouTube. We start to get millions of views. That's some pretty good real estate space for somebody that wants to talk about. And if the technology is good, if it goes through, then yeah, let's talk about it for sure. You know what I mean? So there's just so many potentials. And also too, you want to be able to reward the younger people for achieving certain level rewards. So we're going to have certificates, we're going to have badges, we're going to have leaderboards, and we're going to have stuff within the ecosystem. We're going to say, if you achieve a certain level, you achieve a certain rank, or however you want to call it, maybe you can cash in for a backpack, a t-shirt, you can have merch, stuff like this, right? So the kids are going to be incentivized to be able to want to go, and they're going to say, hey, I want a lunch pail, right? I want to have my little flush lunch kit I want to take to school. Who knows, right? These are just things down the road. So our current roadmap is, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have the first free course ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to be able to launch that. So that's going to be log into the learning management system, look at it, drive it, feel it, understand. And what we're going to do is this is how we're going to do this. So people can kind of get an idea. Like I have an idea in my head how it's going to look, but it's really hard for me to try to explain it. And especially me, because I explain really fast. I need to really bring it down. But so in the next couple of weeks, we're hopefully going to be able to get our first course launched, get everything integrated. We're going to have it in English, E15, so to make sure that we can obviously share with the LATAM market. LATAM is really big right now when it comes into blockchain technology. We obviously understand what's going on with inflation and stuff. The conversation for people to understand and be aware of what's going on with money is more now than ever. So it's going to be English and Spanish at the same time. We're going to offer this free. Then we're going to launch Q1 next year. What we want to do is we want to be able to have everything ready to go. So this is where we can start to, maybe have private school systems say, okay, I've been in talks with a few private school systems. They said, you know what? Because the nice thing about a private school system is they want to bring their kids the best, most relevant information, right? Because they're private. So they're like, yeah, I see the need for this. Let's talk about this. So there's so many opportunities for that. And yeah, right now it's just, that's kind of where we're at.
So why don't you tell us where, because I know you said that if people had ideas that they can contact you and, provide you information about their business down the line, but where can they find you right now? Where can they see Toilet Paper Hands if they wanted to view it at this very moment?
Okay, so I gave you our link tree, I believe. So our link tree has all our stuff. So toiletpaperhands.com. If you guys want to go and talk about possible partnerships or saying, hey, listen, I'm a fantastic content creator, or I have a business, or I believe I could add a lot of value through the knowledge and experience or the wealth of knowledge that I have or have access to, you can hit me up, Randy Kujawa, on LinkedIn. And yeah, just check out all our socials. And that's about it. So like I said, it's a great opportunity that, and it's nice because we're going to talk about the traditional markets. We're going to talk about every topic, right? I think everything deserves an equal part of the conversation because it's not just 100% crypto. It's not just 100% this. That's wrong. I think that's flawed. And people are just going to try to teach only crypto when that's like trying to get somebody to rebuild a car engine, but they don't even know what a car is. You're like, oh, let's go replace the pistons in the car. And they're like, what's a car? Well, that's really, we're really starting to get into, like let's stab it back.
Yeah.
Let's make it fun for everybody.
I love that. So you're so passionate about this project. What are some other passions that you have or other projects that you're involved with that, have really helped you shape who you are today?
Well, just a background story about myself. 6 years ago, I watched a film called Earthlings, and it changed my soul forever. And from there, I instantly became a vegan. I was like, once again, I just kind of opened the curtains and I saw something at the scale I had no idea. And I was like, I'm not really okay with this. So I need to do something about this. So I think that really shifted my moral compass. It really shifted to like, okay, well, if I feel so strongly about some way and I want to be able to make a difference, well, if I wasn't okay with watching that show, then I just have to make a change. And that's okay. And change is difficult in life. It really, really is. But so for this last 6 years, I've really thought, okay, well, if I'm going to go speak on behalf of a fish in the sea that I don't know, it's probably going to make me a kinder person. It's probably going to make me more of a compassionate person. I'm probably going to care about everybody a little bit more. And if I'm going to care about everyone a little bit more, I'm going to try to bring more value to the planet. So if I live my life saying, okay, how can I bring more value? How can I add value to everybody else's life? Because if you can live in service to others, the universe will be in service to you. It just works out. It just always works out that way. So when I have the more I can help, the more I can give, the more time I can donate, the more lives I can affect, everything else just falls into place. And maybe just because that's how I've been living my life. Maybe that's how I met Olin. Maybe that's how I ended up on this podcast. Maybe that's how I'm going to connect with somebody next week. I don't know. And that's the nice thing about the universe. But me personally, that was it. It was because I shifted the way I looked at everything when I'm like, I got to start having more compassion for everybody. And that's everybody. It doesn't matter where, when, how, it just everything, just be a nicer person, live more in service to others. And that's why this project's super fun, because it's like, this project really isn't about, I'm not in this to go and try to count dollars. No, it's going to be super cool to be like, maybe I'll turn on a TV station one day and we'll be on the 10th season of Toilet Paper Hands. And we'll be like, man, this is cool. And then you'd be like, oh, cool. We've already had 5 million people log into our LMS. I mean, 5 million people are taking control of their lives. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the future is going to bring. But I think if we start with something super fun, super easy, super relevant, and very high quality content, digestible for all, I can't see how this won't really just be just an awesome project overall. And like I said, it's just going to attract higher quality content. Everything's just going to get better. But yeah, it's yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can feel your compassion for others really turned into a passion for others. And I think that's amazing because you feel passionate about this project. Here at Camaplan, we're in the same realm as you. We're all about education. We focus more on alternative investments. So we do have Bitcoin and, things like that. But we see that missing piece of the puzzle and we want to help educate others as well. So that's why we love having people like you on our podcast. And we have a webinar series as well that, we get more into the nitty gritty of things with, when it comes to investing and teaching how people to do it. But that's what I like about the podcast. It's, you can find out about all these projects that people are investing their time into to make the world a better place. And I feel like that's really where yours comes into play, is because you have that compassion again for the people and for education and learning. And you want to turn that into a passion for education and learning for these other people. So I think maybe watching that documentary really did change your life for the better. I mean, I'm not sure how you were prior, but I think you're a great person and you really can, you can really tell, talking about this project. I know we're on podcast, but like his eyes light up, like talking about it. It's just exciting. I think the characters are really great. They're very it's going to be educational. It's going to be fun, but it's also fun to watch. I have already watched the very first episode. How many episodes do you currently have out at this time?
Well, we only have the 3-minute trailer. So what there's a 3-minute trailer. We're going to be having each episode is going to be 12 minutes. So when we go to launch the first free course, we're going to have the 12-minute episode. So what we're going to say, okay, here it is. So this is where it's going to be an opportunity where somebody's going to be like, okay, so we've been self-funded. Everything's been self-funded to this point. But so we're going to say, okay, here's the first episode. Here's everything. So this is where we're going to be probably opening up funding rounds to be able to get the next season, the next season, the next season. Yeah, so it's just a 3-minute trailer right now, kind of has a bit of a feel for it. But yeah, so when we have the 12-minute episode, we have that. And then that's when we're going to say, okay, cool. You guys like the project. You want to be an opportunity to be part of this. And then that's when we're going to launch and open up funding for next season. And so it's going to be a great opportunity. So if somebody's like, hey, listen, I want to, I believe in this. I believe in education is really important. And they're looking for some, newer investment opportunity. Just stay tuned. Kind of follow our socials, see what's going on. And when that opportunity arises, be part of this. And if you got a great business that you want to showcase, hit us up, talk to us. We're absolutely open. We're open to every single conversation, every single door we think needs to be open because you don't know, right? At the end of the day, if it's not a good fit, cool. Hey, thanks for talking. That was great. But it might be one of the connections that opens up and really gets this thing going. So, yeah.
Well, you heard it. I mean, if this is something that interests you, watch the trailer, get to know it. It's going to be launching, you said, by the beginning of January or Q1 next year, correct?
Well, we're gonna in a couple weeks we're gonna have the first episode. Hopefully, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're gonna have the first episode, everything out, everything ready to go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have the full series. For Q1 next year, we're gonna have the full series. So all 16 episodes, everything going out there, and yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sure Randy's going to keep everyone posted on social media as things get closer to launching for every aspect of this project. You can always follow him at his Linktree/toilet paper hands. You can email him, randy@toiletpaperhands.com. You can reach out to him, find your niche and let him know that this is something that needs to be talked about. I mean, this is an ongoing growth opportunity for the project. It's just going to be continuous. So I think, all of our listeners here are going to learn something from this, or hopefully maybe some of them can partner with you later on when this becomes something huge. And I think it's great that you are going to offer it as a free entity, but there's also going to be different options for further learning opportunities. And I really love hearing about this project. I want to stay more in tune with it. I can't wait to keep up with you and see what's going to happen for the future. So, maybe he'll come back on the podcast in a couple of years. And
hey, you know what? When everything's ready to go, I'd love to have you back. Maybe we can showcase this a little more. But no, just thanks for having me on. It was really good. Like I said, just hit us up on our socials, follow everything, keep in tune, and we actually probably I think next week we're going to have a newsletter coming out from the United Nations and Protect about their partnership with us. So, the fact that we do have a very good relationship starting to build with a global distribution about getting education to all the developing nations, I think that's something really special too, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know many new starting projects that have a massive partnership with a big name like that. Like, that's where we're going to be able to go and impact tens of thousands, hundreds, and maybe millions of lives through this, right? Because like I said, education about money should be a right. It shouldn't be a privilege. If you're in a good neighborhood, in a good country, and you got parents that are really nice to you, it should be for everybody. And that's what our goal is. We just want to make the world a better place through giving you a little more power about understanding what is money. So, yeah.
Well, I think those are wonderful words to end on today. I want to just say thank you again to Randy for being here with us. Thank you to our sponsor, Camaplan. All the description links will be in the show notes below. So if you didn't catch it today, you'll get to read it there. And then if you do want to find out more information about alternative investing or a self-directed IRA, please go to camaplan.com, where you can request a consult with an expert, view our media library of webinars and podcasts, and you can open an account today. So thank you again for listening. And remember to like, follow, and share our podcast, The Road to Financial Freedom, where we can continue to follow the path to success. Thank you and have a great day, everyone.